Initials SA from Toronto, Canada. Assalamu alaikum. When giving dawah to non-Muslims, and one speaks on Allah using the pronoun we in some surahs, and in some other surahs using I, what would be the wisest response?
With regards to giving dawah to non-Muslims and mentioning certain verses in which the pronoun we is used, and sometimes I, what's the wisest way? I mean, me personally, I don't think it's that problematic. Especially if somebody is well versed or well aware of English as a language. It's a well-known style. The president says, we will do this, we will do that. Obviously, the president has helpers, he has assistants, people that are on him, but he's in command. He's giving the order. And he says, we have, and we will not. We will overcome, we shall overcome. Okay, the concept that's most core in Islam, not core concept, the absolute core concept of the deen is monotheism. Allah is one, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad. Allah is one, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa ilahukum ilahun wahid. La ilaha illa huwa ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The core issue of the deen is Allah is one. So if they know that, this shouldn't be a problem. If they don't know that, you explain it to them. But don't change the meaning of the Quran and don't translate it to suit their desires. Explain it to them. That Allah speaks in this way because He is praising and lauding Himself, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that the angels help Allah in certain things by His command. And that's it. It's just that simple. Wallahu a'lam.
Hakim from London, UK. What advice would you give someone? Would you give for somebody studying in Egypt? Are there any markaz you would recommend? And how can one balance between hifz of Quran and Arabic?
Hatim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. With regards to someone studying in Egypt, what markaz, what centers are there, and balancing between memorization of Quran and the Arabic language. As far as the first part of the question, I haven't been to Egypt, so I cannot speak about what's in those lands. I know many brothers and sisters that have been to Egypt and have benefited and learned tremendously. You will have to ask them, inshallah ta'ala. The general rule is that if the program is serious, the first condition, the program should be serious. It should be an actual established program that's not a joke. Alright? They're actually serious about teaching people. No matter what they charge. No matter who they are, where they come from, there's all secondary issues. But the first condition, in my humble opinion, is that they're serious. Jadeen. It's a serious markaz that's not joking around. And they've actually produced people that have finished that mahad that have actually can speak and talk and read and write Arabic. Number two is bid'night ta'ala, or even before number one, is take from the experience of the people that came before you. I'm sure there are many brothers and sisters in the UK that went to Egypt, and they can tell you, this one is good, this one is too expensive, this one is a bit expensive, but it's really high quality, this one is a total joke. Well, how can that? But if you had to, we're saying for argument's sake, if you had to pick yourself, first and foremost, ista'ini billah. Seek Allah's help. Istakhirillah, rabbak. Seek Allah's guidance. Make istikhara. And make sure that you stay free from sin, inshallah ta'ala. That way your senses can be sharp, razor sharp. Alright? You don't want your mind, your ears, and your eyes to be clogged up through disobedience. After that, the actual tangible signs or ways to discover which one is good and which one isn't is, number one, is that it's serious. Number two, look how long it's been in existence. Number three, take a look at the curriculum. How thorough is the curriculum? How extensive is the curriculum? Number four, ask them to provide a list of students from foreign countries that have went to their center and actually studied and graduated. The teachers, that. Make an assessment. Make an assessment, inshallah ta'ala. That's the best advice I can give you with regards to that. As far as balancing between Quran and Arabic, then they don't contradict each other. Memorizing Quran helps you learn Arabic better. Having good Arabic makes it easier for you to memorize the Quran. They go hand in hand. They go what? Hand in hand, inshallah. They go hand in hand, alright? So, inshallah ta'ala, have for yourself a daily portion of hifd based off of the instruction of your specific teacher. If you don't have a specific teacher and you're doing it yourself, which is not necessarily a bad thing or haram thing, because you may be in a time and place in which you can't have a Quran teacher. You can't afford it, or it's too dangerous to go to the masjid, or the person who's teaching Quran is on some wild and crazy bid'ah. Okay? Whatever the case may be. You may not have a mahram, whatever the case is. So if you're doing it by yourself, then ta'ala, try your best to memorize a good portion of Quran on a daily basis. Try it out. Do one ayah a day, half a page a day. Whatever you can, try it out. Trial and error, inshallah. And then also review it and make sure that you read no less than a juz a day, bi'idhnillahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alright? And then that's it. So how long does it take you to read a juz if you read really slow or you read fast? How long does it take you to memorize one ayah, 3 ayat, 5 ayat, depending on how fast you read, or how big or small the surah is? Okay? And then the rest of the day, if you're studying full time, you give it to Arabic, inshallah ta'ala. You have nahu, whether it's qatr al-nada or ajrumiyya, alright, advanced books, ibn aqid, whatever the case may be, alfiyya. You have sarf, alright. You have the actual vocabulary, the different kutub that you'll study from this school, from this university, from the Egyptian colleges, so on and so forth, and what you're actually learning how to properly speak, read, and write Arabic poetry, wahakadha. So it's no contradiction. So you have a full day of talab to study, assuming a person isn't married, doesn't have a husband or kids. Then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, let's say, for example, you give for yourself an hour each day with the Quran. Let's say, method an hour. Let's say you read a juz in 20 minutes. You review a juz in another 20 minutes. That's 40 minutes. And you have what? Another 20 minutes left. You do that for hifd. Mathalan. However you want to split that hour up. 20 minutes after Fajr, 20 minutes after Dhuhr, 20 minutes before Maghrib. Or you just do the hour after Fajr each morning. Consistently. You have the rest of the day to study what you need to study. Okay? Arabic, no doubt, is the key to everything. To read tafsir books, you need Arabic. To read books on Aqidah, the ulama, the Aqidah of the Salaf, this and that, you need Arabic. Alright? To have a good understanding and a thorough appreciation of the Quran, you need Arabic. So Arabic is the key. But I'm saying that it doesn't clash. Alright? When I was learning Arabic, and I'm still learning Arabic to this day, you continue to learn. But when I was initially learning Arabic, and I was initially, I was learning to recite the Quran and memorize the Quran. When I was learning Arabic, anything that I learned in Arabic, I would hear it in the Quran, I would apply it. The concept of maf'ul bihi, the concept of something that's mansub, the concept of mamnu' min as-sarf. So if you read Surah Maryam, you're going to hear certain things, how every verse ends in a specific way. Jam' al-mudhakkar as-salim, Jam' al-mu'annath as-salim. All the stuff you learn in Nahu, you apply it to the Quran. Muslimin, mu'mineen, Inna Allah, Ya Maryam. Wahakadha. You learn certain, the rules that you learn in Ajrumiyya, you apply them to the surah in the Quran. So the Quran helps Arabic, and Arabic helps what? Helps the Quran. That's my philosophy on this issue. Wallahu alam.
Can a woman on her menses do sujood shukr?
Yes, she can.
Assalamu alaikum, Imran from UK, Birmingham. Is the salah in the masjid farad even though the adhan is not said out loud?
If you live in the vicinity of normally hearing it out loud, it becomes farad. So let's say that the masjid, the adhan is only inside, they don't use a speaker or whatever the case may be. But you live 2 minutes from the masjid, or up the steps, or down the street. It's farad. As long as you have the necessary health, there's no wild animals outside chasing you. It's not a blizzard or raining cats and dogs, as they say. And it rains a lot in the UK. I haven't been there. Inshallah, we go one day, but from what is known, if you don't have an excuse, then you must go, even if you don't hear the adhan, as long as it's in the vicinity. We've mentioned this many times, brothers and sisters. Take the faida, the dabit. The dabit. اسمه يا إخواني في بريطانيا حفظكم الله ووفقكم. الضابط في كون حضور الجامع. The rule for you to go into the masjid, being mandatory or not, is the vicinity. Is the vicinity. Many masjids, they can't make the adhan outside, they don't make it, but the vicinity. That's what the ulama of Islam explain. The vicinity. Alright, if you hear the adhan, clear. But if not, based off what? The vicinity. The radius around the masjid. Wallahu alam.
Initials ZM from Manchester, UK. Ustad, can you please inform us what's the virtue of reading books And how can we make this into a habit? And lastly, how were our salaf with books? Jazakallah khair.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you as well, Akhi al-Kareem or Ukhti al-Karima. With regards to reading books, the virtue of reading books, how to make it a habit, how do we love books, and what did the Salaf do with regards to books? First and foremost is the Quran. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ. Allah, He describes the Quran as a kitab, a book. The first thing that the Prophet ﷺ received was iqra, read or recite. Allah also talks about the what? He talked with the pen. Noon wal qalami wa ma yasturun. Allah swore by these things rather. He says noon, the letter noon. Wal qalami wa ma yasturuna. He says the pen, and he swears by that which they write down. And go on and on, ayah after ayah after ayah after ayah. They are abundant in the Quran about books. Praising people and dispraising people. The books that they used to study. The books that they had. The books that they changed. مِمَّا كَتَبَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. The books that they perverted, وَلِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. So the concept of a book is major in the deen of Islam. That's just the Quran. It's major. Before we get into the hadith, with just the Quran is abundantly full of the mention of paper, of pen, and of book, and also of ink. Allah talks about what? لو كان البحر مدادا. If the sea, all of the seas were ink for the words of my Lord, the Allahu Akbar, the water will be exhausted before my Lord's words will be exhausted. وَلَوْ جِئْنَا بِمِثْلِهِ مَدَدًا. Allah says even if we brought more seas. So we can go on and on and on, literally talking about the concept of the book in the Quran. So these ayat should show you the importance and the magnificent station of a book in the deen. Everybody clear on this? Also, is to look at the concept of the book as a means, it's a wasila of ilm. It's not the only wasila. You can learn something from hearing it. And it's something that's very important advice, a very important piece of advice to all brothers and sisters today that want to study, that aspire to study, is that you must mix things. You must have a combination of things. Everything doesn't have to be read. You can also listen to things. You can have an audio book, which is one of the most pleasurable things for me, is to walk down the street or get on an airplane or get on a train and to listen to a book and listen to someone read something to you. You can learn something from sitting in a halqa or halaqa. You can learn something from seeing it on board or hakadha. So a book is a way, is a vessel of what? Transporting knowledge and information from a source to your mind, to your heart, and to your soul. And we all know what Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said about the body and beneficial knowledge. As we mentioned, alhamdulillah, in our manual, 40 Hadith on Seeking Knowledge, volume 1, he said what? That the body, the way that it benefits from ilm is like the way the soul, the way the soul benefits from ilm, is like the way the body benefits from food. The nutrients, the nourishment, the energy. So we can go on and on and on. Alright, that's with regards to books. The Prophet ﷺ, from his missions, is that he wanted to teach the people and he wanted to encourage literacy. He commanded companions to write things down, to record his hadith. And the correct view is that there were hadiths that were written down in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And the hadith that says don't write down anything other than the Quran is not necessarily the most authentic hadith. And if it is authentic, it does not meet and match the number of other hadith which are clearly authentic, in which the Prophet ﷺ says, Uktubu, write for Abu Shah. Uktub, فَوَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ لَا يَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ إِلَّا الْحَقِّ. Many hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ, he told people to write things down. Ali radiallahu anhu had a sahifa, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Anas bin Malik, and the list goes on. With the concept of a book and how it preserves knowledge. And some of the ulama, they say that Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu ta'ala anhu said that when a man writes a book, he now gets an immortal son. An immortal son, a son that doesn't die. A lineage continues because of what you have in a book, what you write in a book. Alright, so we've spoken on this in many videos before. And we read the kutub of the Salaf al-Salih with regards to how to seek ilm. They have chapters on books. As far as how to get a love for books and how to make it a habit is by thinking and pondering on what we just mentioned. Read the Quran and think about it. For Allah to swear by a thing, it has to be serious. For Allah to talk about it so often, it has to be what? Serious. It has to be virtuous. Everybody understand this? Allah talks about pens. I like pens. Allah talks about wal asr, and you like what? Time and timepiece, an old timepiece. 1914. It's over 100 years. And there are watches that are older than this. But this is from 1914. We're in 2017 now. That's 103 years old. And it's still, alhamdulillah, not just working, shake, purring like a kitten. Well, alhamdulillah. Tayyib. At the end of the day is, reflect. Think about it. Just use your brain a little bit. And bidnillahi ta'ala, pick up a book. Force yourself to read. Make for yourself a time. Well, a video, inshallah, we're going to make a video on this because there's been a lot of requests on how to become a reader. A novice, how to become an avid reader, how to become, a reader, a basic reader. And then bidnillahi ta'ala, how to become a master reader. We're going to do some videos on this very soon, inshallah ta'ala. That's the best thing that I would say, the best advice I would give. Wallahu a'lam.
This is MHD from London, UK. What's your opinion on polygyny for the student of knowledge who didn't even memorize the Quran yet?
A student of knowledge who didn't memorize the Quran yet, should he have more than one wife? I mean, if it's a need for it, if he feels he's going to fall into zina, he may be hypersexual. Or maybe a sister, a family, a situation in which he, and so they need to be taken care of. Or whatever. She may be a student of knowledge, the second wife, to help him out. There's many different ins and outs and details why a talib al-ilm may have to take a second wife or should take a second wife. Tafsir, details. Walakin, however, my opinion in general is that you shouldn't get married until you have some basic stuff under your belt. Some basic stuff. Some basic things. Inshallah, then you get married. Obviously, if you're going to fall into zina and you can't fast, get married. Protecting yourself from zina is more important than being a student of knowledge. No doubt. Because everybody doesn't have to be a student of knowledge. But no one can be a zani. Everybody understand this? So that's my advice. Let's make an example. All right, in America, and I'm sure in other countries, but here in America, let's say, for example, when kids study taekwondo, or let's say karate, as they say, karate, right? They have a belt system. And the system is often based off of colors. So let's say somebody starts off with what color? White belt? Then you turn into what? Yellow, then what? Green? Why I get that? You move up, blue belt, purple, red, and take it brown belt, black belt, right? Correct? Okay. So, does a person have to be a black belt? Does a person have to be a third-degree black belt to get married? No. But he should not be a white belt. He should not be a yellow belt. Maybe a green belt. He has some basic karate under his belt before he goes on and takes on the responsibility of a woman and children. No doubt about that. Because when you get married, there's things that you can't do, things that you have to do, responsibilities now. You can't just do whatever you want to do when you're married now. Unless you marry a woman, a sister who's, as we say, a rider. She's going to ride with you. She's a warrior like you are, inshallah. She's going to study with you in Yemen. And she's willing to go to Egypt and not have food and be cold and go through the hardships and the difficulties of ilm. If you find a warrior princess, then you're a blessed man. Or a sister. If you find a warrior husband, a brother who's strong, who wants to seek ilm, who loves knowledge, that's one of the greatest ni'mah of Allah upon you. As the Prophet ﷺ told us, "Ad-dunya mata' wa khayru mata'iha al-mar'atu salihah." He says the worldly life is a means of provision, sustenance. You outfitting yourself. And the best thing to outfit yourself therein is a righteous woman. So that's what I feel on this issue. Please pay attention to these details. Wallahu alam.
Sister Amina from Germany.
Hanover.
Is it permissible to read Quran in front of an imam as a woman? For example, a tajweed class with the imam, and we have to recite so he can correct us.
With regards to a woman reciting in front of an imam, a male, for a tajweed class, if you can find a female teacher, then that's best. That's much better. It's much more pure. Bidnillahi ta'ala. If a female teacher is not felt, and it's a necessity for you to learn the basics, or a person has the ability to go further, and they have some type of talent, and it's the only teacher that they have, then the ulama of Islam, they mention the mixing of sexes in Islam, in some cases is permissible, in other cases is impermissible. As far as when it is permissible, is that there isn't no khalwa. There's no seclusion. They're not alone, just him and her. But there are 3 sisters, 5 sisters, or 20 sisters. The second dabit is that the sister or the brother who's mixing with the sisters or whatever, is that they have to be covered properly. They have to be dressed properly, inshallah ta'ala. Thirdly is that there shouldn't be no fitna. They say in uminatil fitna. If there's safety from infatuation, and obviously that's subjective. What does it mean to be safe from fitna? What's meant by that is, and Allah knows best, is that both the man and the woman are they're mature. That doesn't mean they're free from thoughts of nature, being, attracted to the opposite sex. Doesn't mean the shaitan has whispered them, but they're mature. Like, listen, we're mature and professional. And inshallah ta'ala, we're going to strive to know the limits. Don't cross the limits. And the moment we start getting weak, the moment we let our guard down, the moment we start getting too lax, it's time to do what? In uminatil fitna, a woman that's dressed properly, she's not talking in a certain way, she's not handling herself in a certain way. Alright? And these are some of the dawabit, some of the general guidelines that the ulama mentioned with regards to the permissible mixing of men and women. So if these guidelines are met, and if there is a need and a necessity, and there is no superior alternative, then that's one thing. And if not, then no. Wallahu alam.
Sister Amina from Frankfurt, Germany. Is it permissible to eat in a non-Muslim restaurant where they sell alcohol and pork?
It's permissible to eat in a non-Muslim restaurant where they sell alcohol and pork with conditions. The first condition is that you don't sit at a table in which there's alcohol. The second condition is you don't have a weakness and a shortcoming of fear of falling into alcoholism. Someone used to be a heavy drinker, or someone never drunk, but I always saw alcohol in movies, so I want to try it out. Wine is romantic. Beer is manly thing to do, huh? Hang out with my guys. And this is real. This is not a joke. This is real life. This is real. How it's portrayed, okay? Cowboys smoke cigarettes, Marlboro. It's real. It's cool. It's fun. It's hip. A hip thing to do, to drink, to smoke, to try these things. This is reality. Drugs and alcohol are directly connected with the society and with socializing. That's a known fact. So if you have this type of fear, then don't step into any place in which they sell alcohol. But if you don't have that fear, you never had that problem, the wine is not on your table, the beer is not on your table, the dish that you're making is not with khinzir, it's not with alcohol, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, if you can eat at a restaurant in which there isn't wine and there isn't swine, then that's best. That's better, without a question. But you don't always necessarily have the opportunity for that. When you're traveling, it may be a place in which you're going to eat seafood. This is reality. There may be no pork in a restaurant. It's a seafood restaurant, but they cook with alcohol or they serve alcohol. People want to have their wine, their shatnao, whatever they call it, with their fish, with their shrimp, with their lobster. Okay? So these are the dawabit once more. Inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu alam.
Question from another sister in Germany, Frankfurt. She asked if she can sit on a table with her non-Muslim parents when they are eating food which is not halal. For example, pork, yogurt with gelatin in it.
But as far as sitting at a table with non-Muslim relatives while they're eating pork, I wouldn't advise that you do it at all. And I would consider it to be disrespectful. Alright? If you have a mother or father, if they're still Christian or atheist or whatever they are, Hindus, Buddhists, whatever they are, and they want you to be a part of their family gathering and their family circle, and they can't put down the pork, alcohol as well, but let's just start off with the pork first. If they can't put it down while you sit with them, you're wearing a niqab and hijab, or you're dressed, they know that you have religious conviction, you're Muslim. Something's wrong. They should have enough respect not to eat that in front of you. Just the principle. That's my opinion. And the moment that you sit with them while they eat those haram foods and drink those haram drinks, as if you're adding to them being further from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is it absolutely haram? Can I say that? We know the hadith about khamr being on the table. That's clear. But swine. We have a specific hadith and says that he who eats on a ma'idah in which there is swine will be cursed. Allahu alam. I wouldn't advise with it. I would advise you to talk to your non-Muslim family and you explain to them like, look mom, look dad, or mom, or whatever, however you address your parents or your relatives, you're my family. My religion does not prevent me from loving you as a family member. My religion does not prevent me from us having a relationship that has nothing to do with faith and conviction, but just flesh and blood. Alright? So I want to sit with you guys. I also want to tell you about my religion. But bid'nillahi ta'ala, I don't have a problem coming to a family function or something. But could you please, inshallah, if it's possible, God willing, not have the pork? Is it possible? Ask him that humbly. And if they really love you and if they really respect you and they want you to be a part of their family circle, like many non-Muslims say, she became a Muslim and she forgot about us. He became a Muslim and we're all going to hell, we're all sinners, we're evildoers. Many people, they say this. And it drives a further wedge between them and their Christian family members or Jewish family members, whatever the case may be. So, it's a base off of mutual respect now. You're my grandmother, my mother. I have to respect you, visit you. We're not coming to debate on religious ideals. We're not here to talk about Jesus. If you want to talk about him, fine. If you want to ask me about my religion, that's fine. Why do you cover yourself? That's fine. But I'm coming to visit you. How are you, grandma? How are you doing? You want me to get you something from the kitchen, a cup of tea? I brought you a blanket, so on and so forth. How are the kids? That's fine. It has nothing to do with religion. So I'm not going to disrespect your religion, and you're not going to disrespect my religion. I'm not going to come in your house and start reciting Surah Al-Ma'idah, and come and start Surah Al-Nisa, and Surah Al-Maryam, you're kuffar, you're mushrikeen, you're going to the hellfire, khalidina fiha. I'm not going to do that. And at the same time, you what? Respect my deen. If they can't do that, then don't go and sit with them. That's my advice. It's very important to establish justice on what? Both sides. Don't make no funny jokes about Muslims. If you do, know that's the last time I'm ever going to visit you. The moment you talk about my beard, or you talk about why you have on these clothes. Some ignorant uncle that comes over that's half drunk, that's a different story. But we're talking about you, grandma. I'm supposed to be your grandson. You're supposed to love me. I love you. And you make fun of me. Vice versa. I won't talk about Christianity. You don't talk about Islam. Everybody will what? Get along. Wallahu alam.
Question.
Fadl Osama.
When Jibreel alayhi salam came to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he said Iqra, from the hadith can we derive that, or can we say that was something that was shown, or it was just said Iqra?
Sorry.
Which the Nabi replied, I couldn't read.
Question says, the hadith of Jibreel alayhi salatu wasalam with regards to when he came, he said Iqra. Alright? Do we derive from this that there was something that was shown to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Something that was tangibly in front of him for him to read, or not? I haven't read any version of the hadith that states anything like this. Any lafz outside of the Sahihain, in the Sahihain, that says that it was something that was shown. Secondly is, that which is apparent from the hadith is that there wasn't anything shown. And the message was already intriguing enough and scary enough. The Prophet was very fearful. Iqra, read. And the Prophet says, Ma ana biqari. I'm not a reader. I don't know how to read. I don't know these things, whether it was shown to him or not. And Jibreel alayhi salam commanded him and ordered him without giving him any further instruction or showing him anything. Then came down the ayat, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaqa al-insana min alaq, until the end of those ayats from Surah Al-Alaq. That's what's apparent. Wallahu alam.
Initials UN from Bucks, United Kingdom. If you buy non-halal chicken by accident, Can you feed it to animals, for example, like cats?
Inshallah, we just answered this question on Mufti Q&A. Please go to the YouTube channel, Mufti Q&A, and subscribe. On there, we have a question and an answer with regards to this. Can you feed 9 zabiha meat to what? Your animals, whether you buy it on purpose or by accident. Now, and this is a very important question. Some of the brothers in the Masjid, when we answered the question, they were laughing. Like, oh, what is this, joke? This is real life. Okay? So, inshallah ta'ala, the answer that we gave is that there's nothing wrong with that. Within that ta'ala to feed 9 zabiha food to an animal. Wallahu alam.
Sister Amina from Frankfurt, Germany. Jazakallah khair for the answers. Good. So, she says her mother is 49 and her husband is 53. The wording's a little messed up here, but I'm guessing she said that they've been together since she was 15. At this time, she didn't cover, but now she wears a niqab because she follows the opinion that it's for a woman to cover her face and hands. Now my mother is saying why I'm not removing my niqab in front of him. She says her husband knows me since I'm in my teens and I'm exaggerating. My mom is not a Muslimah, like I said in the question before. Now I'm not sure what to do and how to handle the situation. Hopefully you can help me. Jazakallah khair.
This is a question that we answered the other night, I believe, correct? With regards to a girl, we did. But no, it came from Germany. This is the same question. Well, this is the same person. It's the same question. With regards to having a Muslim mother or non-Muslim mother, non-Muslim husband as well, who raised the girl or not. Is he a mahram for the Muslim daughter? We answered this and we said is that if the man has married the mother, he's a mahram for the girl. Meaning that meaning what? Meaning what? They can't get married. What's the likeliness of them getting married? Muslim or non-Muslim. Doesn't mean that she can take off her clothes and everything in front of him. But what's important is that there's some type of relation. Everybody understand this? We explained this the other night. If I'm not mistaken, I believe we gave a detailed answer on this. Perhaps. Al-Muhim, as we just said, if a person is bidnahi ta'ala, the best thing for let's do it like this, inshallah, to remove any type of doubt. Have the sister email us at hadithdisciple.com. Send us an email with your specific name, your city, that way we can know who it is and give you the necessary details once and for what? Inshallah ta'ala. Nafis and the sister as well. Nafis, you can email me as well. Inshallah. That way we can, is it the same sister or not? What's the situation, huh? And give any other further needed necessary details. Because I believe we spoke about this in detail. Wallahu alam. Tfaddal.
Initials AA from London, UK. Is it permissible to recite the Quran in Sunnah or Farad Salah in more than one riwayat?
Say that again?
Is it permissible to recite the Quran in a Sunnah or Farad Salah in more than one riwayat?
Right. As far as more than one riwayah and one salah, then I don't think it's a good idea. And I think it should be what? Stick to one riwayah and one salah. However, can I say it's haram? I can't necessarily say that. Especially if you're praying by yourself and there isn't anyone behind you that will become confused. It isn't anyone behind you that will rush hastily to say, oh, you said it wrong. Is the Quran different? If you're praying by yourself, whether it's fard or nafil. But that which is closest to the asl, in my humble opinion, based on what I read from the ulama's speech regarding the ahkam of the Quran, is that you should stick to one riwayah and one salah. But to say that it's haram absolutely, decisively, didn't say that. Wallahu alam. Especially if you're praying by yourself. Wallahu alam.
Question from Waqas Malik from Pakistan. Should I be praying behind a Deobandi Imam? Deobandis follow Ashraf Ali Anvani, and Ashraf Ali Anvani taught in his book Magic and Shirk. I read it myself. The book is called Tayyib. the Salafi Masjid is a little far from his house?
I would say anybody that you have doubt about, whatever their way is or understanding is best to avoid. Deobandi or other than Deobandi. If you believe that Deobandis are not Muslims, if you believe they are Muslims but with major bid'ah, if you believe they're committing major sins, if you believe that they're borderline on shirk and kufr, do not pray behind them. Go further to the masjid in which the people are upon the sunnah, inshallah ta'ala. Or even if they're not upon the sunnah and following the way of the salaf, they're closer and further away from the Deobandis and their misguidance and statements and actions which you mentioned, sihr and things like this, could be kufr and so on and so forth. That's the best thing to do. My last piece of advice is do not preoccupy yourself with this. Do not stay busy with this. It's a very simple move. This is a Deobandi Masjid. They follow this man. They have this problem. This is kufr. This is shirk. This is bid'ah. This is dalal. This fiqh is wrong. It's incorrect. This taqleed, so on and so forth. Just avoid them. Period. Many people, they get caught up. Deobandi, Braylawi, Deobandi, Braylawi. That's all they talk about. Khalas. Turn away from them. If you can give someone dawah, if you can help someone, alhamdulillah, that's what's mandatory. If not, turn away from them. Busy yourself with learning Aqidah the Salaf, yourself, anta. Busy yourself with learning what the Quran says about sihr and bid'ah, yourself. And that's it. Pray with the people of the Sunnah, eat with the people of the Sunnah, go with the people of the Sunnah, and that's it. It's just that simple. Even if you have to walk a little further or drive a little more, bid'ah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sacrifice is more than worthy. Don't busy yourself with who's Braylawi, who's Deobandi. If you can help somebody out who works with you, somebody who plays soccer with you, somebody that comes into your store, you can give them dawah, a pamphlet, a tape, then that's what you should do. Give them dawah. And if not, you turn away from them. Wallahu alam.
Question from Jasim Chowdhury from USA, Houston, Texas. There's a question regarding no-halal prayers and seeking knowledge, reviewing knowledge. Is it better to seek/review knowledge than to pray no-halal prayers, such as the following situations? If an alim comes to your local vicinity, mosque, store, etc., is it better to delay or skip sunnah prayers in order to listen to his speech, such as skipping or delaying the sunnah prayers in order to listen to his speech properly from the beginning, or in order to reserve a spot that is close to the alim? Is it better to review/seek knowledge than to pray tahajjud? Should a student of knowledge have a balance of both, or should he opt for seeking/reviewing knowledge more while maintaining the minimal no-halal prayer/acts? I apologize if you have answered these questions.
Tight. There's no apology needed. Walillah alhamd. We don't have a problem with repeating the answers. We've learned from our ulama, our mashayikh, our teachers, that they will answer questions over and over again. Sheikh bin Baz, rahimahullah ta'ala, was one of my favorite personalities of the modern scholars, and someone that I've benefited from tremendously, and it had a large impact on my life. Every day I listen to his fatwa. I read his fatwa every single day. Every day. And alhamdulillah, if you read his Majmu' fatwa, you'll find sections full of the same answers over and over and over and over again. If you listen to Nurun ala Darb, the radio program, he's asked the same question over and over again. Don't take it from me. Listen to it yourself. How many times he talks about the Prophet's birthday, Mawlid? How many times he talks about Al-Halaf bit-Talaq? How many times he speaks on these things over and over again? Love us. That's not a problem. When we say we've answered this question already, the reason why we say that is, number one, lack of time. Lack of what? Lack of time. Everyone no one misunderstands that we get aggravated or upset at people asking the questions, but it's lack of time, and it's just me. If we don't have other brothers or sisters that come and help out to answer the questions, which I don't have a problem with, well, alhamdulillah, that's different. But people have questions. They're demanding, they're hungry from the UK. For how many?
Not everybody's an ambassador of Queens.
You understand what I'm saying to you? Is that is preservation of time. Or sometimes it may be a situation in which we've given detail and an answer or a video in which is more beneficial for you to get the necessary details. Everybody understand this? This is the only reason why. Alright? So, with regards to what you mentioned in a question about should a student of knowledge have balance, even though that wasn't the first thing you mentioned, that's the key. is balance. Make the nawafil, seek ilm, have hirs upon knowledge, be diligent, be hungry, be aggressive in seeking knowledge. You have to be aggressive. You can't be passive. You can't sit back and twiddle your thumbs and play with your thumbs, think that you're going to become an alim. It doesn't work like that. And it comes with great sacrifice. All right? So there's nothing wrong with what you mentioned, balance. However, you mentioned a scenario about an alim coming to your town, or even a da'i or student of knowledge, and you don't have time to do both. Then you give precedence to ilm. That's what the Salaf al-Salih meant when they said talab al-ilm is better than staying in prayer at night. As Ibn Abbas said to one of his disciples once, he says, مَا الَّذِي قُمْتَ إِلَيْهِ بِأَفْضَلَ مِمَّا قُمْتَ عَنْهُ. He says, you stood up to pray is no more virtuous than what you were sitting down doing. In other words, فِي حَالَ التَّزَاحُمْ, when there's no time. Or in a situation which a person is inclined and he becomes very strong in ilm, naturally, and that becomes his ibadah. But it doesn't mean that you don't never pray tarawih, you don't ever make witr, you don't ever make the sunnah prayers. It does not mean that, because that's the purpose of you learning, is to become more righteous, more pious. And when you learn and when you read, you're going to read things about nawafil, about the virtue of getting closer to Allah through supererogatory acts. So that's the thamara of ilm. That's the thamara of ilm. Ilm is considered the foundation, and the fruit, the benefit is virtuous ibadah. So there's no contradiction. Number one, have balance. Number two, if you're between a rock and a hard place and you have to choose, no doubt, take the ilm. Everybody clear on this? So there has to be a balance. However, I'll say this, I'll conclude my answer by saying what? You as a student of knowledge, you have to be more inclined towards knowledge and scholastics than other things. Alright? Let's say, for example, when it comes to money, fundraising, or just being financially, savvy, okay, or having the awareness of funds and money and how to manage things like that. That's fine for you to know. That's fine for you to have a little involvement in, but that can't be the larger percentage of you. No, you have to be 80% bookworm, 75% scholar, 25% athlete. Everybody understand this? 10% business minded. The majority of you has to be books. You have to be a nerd of books. No doubt about that. And if you're not going to really go far in your ilm. As we see, people who never go far initially, or those who do go far, but then they come back to America or the UK, or they get involved in this, and they become this, and they become this foundation and this organization, and they administer that, and they lose their edge in the ilm. They lose it, and they start becoming responsible for money, responsible for this place and for that organization. Somebody has to do it. Doesn't mean it have to be you. Your job, your place is supposed to be the library. If you have to have certain jobs on the side, everybody has something to do, some responsibility. But the asl is that you're what? You stay as a nerd of ilm. That's the asl. That has to be the higher percentage. I like little sports. I like to read about history. I like to travel. No doubt. But all those things must orbit around what? Ilm. So when it comes to making ibadah, making extra prayers, fasting, traveling, hajj, umrah, all of those things are beautiful. And they are virtuous acts. But you have to find a way of incorporating them in knowledge. Taking your book with you. I used to make tawaf. Wallah al-azim. Many times, it was before iPad, I'll take a thick book with me. Literally. I'll carry the book the whole time. Pray, find a place to put it, carry it with me. And I will read and I'll make tawaf. Reading the book, making sa'i. And then when the iPads came, take a small iPad and read it while you're making sa'i. Why not? Why can't you benefit while you're doing these things? Why not? So you incorporate the ibadah with the ilm. You go out to eat with the brothers, you take a book with you, you read it at the table. You laugh, you joke, the permissible laughing and joking. You entertain your guests, you be a good host, a good guest, but at the same time it goes back to what? Ilm. We go to play, we work out, we go to the gym only for a little bit of time. Then it goes back to the what? Go back to the real gym. The real soccer. It's the Sahih Bukhari and the Tirmidhi and those books. So that's my advice to this brother or sister or anybody as a student of knowledge, is that your main focus, your main focal point has to be, must be, should be knowledge. Period. Everything else is what? Secondary. Everything else is relative. And everything else is limited. Please pay attention to these words of advice. Ta'ala. Secondary, relative, and limited. If you want to go far. If you want to be mediocre, that's fine. You can just work 8 hours here and 10 hours there. Tfaddal. Read on the weekends. That's fine. But if you want to be serious, if you want to be a disciple, if you want to be someone that's dedicated with knowledge, that's obsessed with ilm, and people benefit from you, and you make a change in yourself, in your family, your community, then you have to devote yourself to it. It's just that what? It's just that simple. Last but not least, I'm going to give you a little story. It was a brother right here in Queens. Alhamdulillah, he just recently reverted to Islam a couple months ago. So we were talking, getting to know the brother. We were sitting in the park. So he, for some reason, somehow boxing came up. We started talking about boxing. Alhamdulillah, he's a good sized brother. He says, I used to box. I said, yeah. He said, I used to be, basically cruiserweight, mini heavyweight type weight class. He said, I was good. I used to do it. I said, okay. I said, what made you stop? Why didn't you pursue your career in boxing? You have natural size, good talent. You say you were good. Well, he said, when you get up in my weight class, he said, those guys hit really hard. He said, they're not like, he says, those punches hurt. And he said, if you're not studying all day boxing and jumping rope and running the roads, if you're not dedicating yourself to it, he says you're going to get hurt. And you can't excel. You cannot go far unless you live that lifestyle in which you dedicate on the plate. But the steak and the potatoes has to be boxing, conditioning, working out, fitness, learning, footwork. This is what he said. He says, that's why I quit. He says, I had the talent to go far. He says, but those punches, they hurt. And he said, I knew that I wasn't willing to give myself to it like that. I'm not going to put myself in that situation to be punched drunk and be beat up. And then he went on to tell us a story of a famous championship boxer. I won't mention his name right now. He says that he took ballerina classes. Can you imagine this? A heavyweight, big guy. He used to take ballerina classes to show you the extent of what? Dedication. And the extent of being obsessed with one's chosen craft. If I'm going to be a boxer, I have God-given talent. I've acquired the skill. I've sacrificed. I've suffered. I've taken debt. I've dropped out of school. Whatever. Just to live a life as a boxer. I have an opportunity to go far. I have an opportunity to make money. I have an opportunity to get fame and this and this and that. So all these things in boxing world, then I might as well do what? Push it to the limit. You might as well take it to the next level. That edge on the opponent. And he says, I took ballerina classes, not because I'm gay. Not because I like dancing. Not because I want to have twinkle toes. He says, but because I want to have an edge on my opponent in the ring. And if I tell you this guy's name, he's a famous heavyweight champion. Not Mike Tyson and somebody else. Everybody understand the concept of dedication. So if you want to be a mediocre boxer or amateur boxer, that's fine. You can box on the weekend. And during the week, you work at Walmart or UPS. That's. But if you want to take it to a serious level, your boxing has to be the way that you eat. You make money through boxing. That's it. That's your job. That's your occupation. That's your hobby. That's your life. That's my advice. And this is one of the things that we've seen from the different brothers in Medina. They come to Medina and they're just weak. They don't have no passion for knowledge. And the many brothers, they come and they ask the question, the first question they ask when they come to Medina. How am I going to make money? What am I going to do when I graduate? My parents want me to be an engineer. They want me to be a doctor. How are you going to make money? If you seek in just to make money, if you're in Medina for a profession, go home. Wallah, go back to Houston, Texas. It's no good. You shouldn't be there. The money will come. Status will come. Occupation is going to come. That's written for you. You have to be in Medina to seek ilm for what? Because you love it. Because it's mandatory. Because the people need it and they're dying without knowledge. And no matter how many wonderful centers you build and masjids that you erect and throw up, if it's not based off of solid, hardcore knowledge, fiqh fi deen, it's of no point. So that's my advice to all the brothers and sisters who are listening, all the hadith disciples, is if you love knowledge, dedicate yourself to it. And if you're not willing to give it your all, then you're what? You're wasting your time. Wallahu a'lam wa billahi tawfiq. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdi wa rasulih Nabi Muhammad. Jazakumullah khairan, brothers and sisters, for your participation. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to perhaps get some of my sins forgiven and perhaps get some hasanat. Wallahu a'lam.
You had asked for the age.
Excuse me?
The system? It was a census in general. But, you gotta ask for the age.
Tell her the email, inshallah. Within that.